Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to BPS Woodworks. Well, I got some bad news last week, and it's gonna slow up the process here on me a little bit. I really debated long and hard about even whether or not I wanted to make this video. It's a little embarrassing and somewhat demoralizing, if I'm being honest, but I said when I started this channel I wanted to be transparent and take you guys with me along on the journey here. So I'm going to be transparent. I apologize. This is probably going to be a little bit of a rambling video. I got a lot I want to say. Don't really know how I want to say it, so I'm just going to say it. And if I get in too much of a ramble, I'll edit it out before I post the video. So right now I'm on my way to get my dunks. It's about 8:45 Saturday morning, and then I'm gonna head out to the property and I will catch back up with you when I get out there. Hey, quick public service announcement. I can't promise I won't drop a couple profanities somewhere during this little walk and talk, so if you're in public or you got little ones around, put your earbuds in. Thanks. All right, here we are back at the property. Got the selfie stick in one hand and the coffee in the other. So I want to talk a little bit about, I guess in this video, first I'll give you a little bit of the backstory as far as how we were planning to do this financially. And then I'll talk about the bad news I got last week that is going to set that back on me. And then maybe finish up by talking a little bit about what my plans are for my little fledgling upstart YouTube channel that I've got here that I'm trying to do. Obviously a big part of it was going to be the series I was doing on the build here for our new house and my new wood shop. That series is going to slow down a little bit for a while, but again, we'll talk about that at the end of the video. So what we're doing out here, and I don't know if you've seen any of the other videos in the series. If you watched the first one, I kind of explained what the whole plan was here and how we subdivided this lot. I bought my brother out of his half of the land value, and we want to build our new home out here. This is the land I grew up on. We want to build our new home out here, and I wanted to put up a 40 by 60 pole barn. It's going to have my new wood shop in it for BPS Woodworks. So that's the dream. The plan for paying for it was to take our existing house that we're living in now, that I've lived in for, it'll be 30 years next month. We have just about paid it off. We have about 10 payments left. I had a realtor look at it a few months back, and they said that as is they would list it at $250,000. So I thought, okay, well, we'll go get a home equity line of credit on that. I can use that money to build, and then when we're done building, we'll sell that house and hopefully be able to pay off that equity line of credit, or at least pay off the vast majority of it. I do contracting, remodeling, that kind of work is what I do. My plan was to build the house myself, at least as much of it as I possibly can. And so that's why I kind of felt like we could probably pull it off for within that $250,000. Now, it's not my first rodeo. I know how this goes. There's always cost overruns. Everything always ends up costing more than you think it's gonna. We may have ended up with a small amount of money still on a loan when it was all said and done, but it wouldn't be anywhere near $250,000. So I thought this was going to be easy. I'm 53 years old. My wife and I both have excellent credit scores and perfect credit histories. I went to try to get a home equity line of credit with the bank, who I have been doing business with for 30 years. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a rich person. It's not like I've got some massive amount of money invested with this bank, but I've been paying mortgages to them. I've had several mortgages with them over the years because I have a few rental properties that I used to have mortgages on with them as well. My business checking account is with that bank. 30 years I've been paying for my house, paying them interest. I'm 10 payments away from having that house paid for. And I thought, okay, I'll go to that bank and get a line of credit on this house. Should be easy. It's basically a secured loan. They've got my entire house as collateral. That's a pretty powerful incentive for me to make sure that payment's made. Well, I went to the bank to get that loan and they said, here, hold our beer. They came back, they made me wait 3 weeks to even give me an answer. And then in, I believe it was Thursday last week, no, Wednesday, I can't remember. Today's Saturday anyway. A few days ago, I got a letter in the mail. This is after calling down there a couple times and trying to get an answer, and people would just kind of give me the runaround. Oh, we don't know yet, it's still with the underwriter. Well, the letter's dated a day or two before the last time I made a phone call down there, and the letter says, thanks, but no thanks, we're declining you on this loan. The reason that they're citing is my debt to income ratio. Yeah, I have some debt, you know, like everybody does, at least everybody that's not rich. You know, I've got Parent Plus loans, got a car loan, you know, I've got some debt, sure. But I'm 53 years old and I've never not paid a bill in my life. I just don't understand it. And again, it's basically a secured loan, right? I mean, they've got my house. You know, there's and the way that the bank comes up with this number kind of caught me off guard a little bit. You know, they're including my current mortgage payment in the debt to income, which, okay, that's fine. I'm still making that payment, but I've got 10 payments left. I don't want to put that over onto the new equity line of credit because that would be foolish, because the interest rate on the mortgage is practically nothing. And I've only got a few payments left on it. They factor in there a $2,200 a month payment. And I said, where is this? What? I don't have that payment. What's that? And they said, well, that's the payment on the new equity line of credit. And I said, well, yeah, but you're putting that in my debt to income rate. I don't have that loan yet. Well, yeah, but you'll have it if we give it to you. Okay, you're including property taxes. Since when are property taxes escrowed into an equity line of credit loan? Well, they're not, but you'll have to pay those property taxes because you own the house. Okay, I'm paying them now. They're not escrowed in my current mortgage. Have I ever not paid them? Do you see where there's any back taxes on this property? The bottom line is they don't care about any of that. They don't care who you are, you're just numbers. And if the numbers don't spit out of the computer right, then that's it. You know, the underwriter says no. You know, I have an IRA, I have some rental properties. I have ways to make sure that even if things went south on me, I would still be able to meet those debt obligations. I've always tried to conduct my finances that way, make sure there was always an out if things went south. So to suggest that somehow after 30 years of making payments on it, I would all of a sudden stop making payments on my current home that I'm living in when I've got 10 left is just absurd. It's just absurd, but they won't even consider that. So I didn't get the loan. Obviously, I can't do this without that line of credit. Again, I'm not a rich person. You know, I'm self-employed right now, so I don't really get, you know, a paycheck per se, weekly or bi-weekly, as if I had a regular 9-to-5 job. But if I had a regular 9-to-5 job, you could say that I'm just like most people. You know, I saw in a TV show once somewhere, they said there's always going to be the people that make the bread and then the people that eat the bread. You know, I guess I'm just one of the people that makes the bread. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I really am. I'm not trying to be some rich guy here building some big mansion. I just want to put up a small pole barn so I can put my wood shop in it. And a nice little one-story house. I'm 53 years old. I spent my whole life working, making payments, and worrying about my credit score. And right now I'm wondering, why the hell did I do that? Like what was the point, really? You know? And with a perfect credit history and excellent credit score and collateral to back up the loan 100%, the bank still says no. So I thought about going around, maybe looking at some other banks, but I kind of feel like, you know, any bank is going to look and consider your debt to income ratio, and the numbers aren't going to change if I go to a different bank. So I just kind of feel like I'm wasting my time going around and doing that and messing with all the paperwork. And you know how it is, they got to have my wife's pay stubs and my tax returns, and they want rent rolls and signed lease agreements from my rental properties, and you know, and I can certainly provide all that. I just don't want to do it if I'm just wasting my time. So where we're at out here on the site, the driveway's just about done here. He's probably got, I think he's going to go another, I don't know, 50 feet here or so, and then that'll be it for this year. I've got the money set aside to pay him for that. If you can see behind me, you're pretty much looking straight on to where the pole barn is supposed to go for the shop. But I'm going to have him stop because I've got the money set aside right now to pay him. And that'll have to be it for this year. You know, I a little concerned because I'm not giving up, you know. I've got, I'm going to take the time between now and next year to work on paying down some debts. And again, I've only got 10 payments left on my mortgage on my house, so that'll go away. So hopefully I'll be in a better position next year. Maybe I can try again. Although I can tell you right now, it won't be with that bank because they can go fuck themselves. So another thing I want to say, I don't want to forget to say this before I close out this video, is that, you know, this isn't about me feeling sorry for myself, although if I'm being honest, I probably am a little bit right now, but that's not what this is about. I'm not trying to be the victim here. You know, my finances are nobody's responsibility but my own, and I recognize that. And I also recognize that I'm very, very fortunate, and I have there's a lot of people out there that are a lot worse off than I am. So I don't want to come off like, you know, oh, poor me. I'm just a little cranky, a little frustrated right now. A few weeks ago, I was on cloud 9. You know, I thought, hey, we're finally going to get this going. We're finally going to make this happen. But I guess I just didn't understand the process of how the banks evaluate you to get one of these loans. I thought the fact that your house was securing the loan made it pretty much a done deal, but I was wrong. You know, and the whole $2,200 a month payment thing that they're factoring in, they're basing that on as if I had the equity line of credit, that it was maxed out, and that it had come due and I was having to make a full principal and interest payment on it. And they're factoring in the property taxes too. And I guess, you know, I mean, if I'm being honest, as much as I hate it and as much as it pisses me off, you know, if I was the bank, I guess that makes sense. I guess that's fair. You know, they're going to look at worst case scenario, because who knows what, you know, what might happen. And I suppose there is a scenario where, you know, I could be in that situation where I have to make that payment. But my plan was to use the line of credit. The whole point in getting that type of a loan, to do this as opposed to a construction loan or something along those lines, is that it was supposed to be easier to get, less micromanaged by the bank as far as how and when you spend it, and you only have to pay the interest on the portion of it that you've used. So my plan was to carry the loan for a couple of years and just make the interest payments while we were building, and then once that's done, we sell our house and pay it off. So I never had any intention of making a full principal and interest payment on that line of credit. But the bank has to look at it as though I will have to do that. So so I've got a lot of money invested out here already, really, you know, stuff that we've been trying to pay for as we went along. You know, I've already mentioned I had to pay my brother for the land. Having to pay the excavator for the work that's been done so far on the driveway up to this point. Had a few trees taken down. You know, I had to have a surveyor back in the beginning. We had to have the property lines all surveyed and redone. You know, I've paid some small fees to the county for like the driveway entrance and just that sort of thing. You know, it all adds up to quite a bit of money. And like I said, for now at least, it's all going to come to a screeching halt. So I said I wanted to talk a little more about what does this mean for the channel, you know. Well, the channel was really supposed to be a woodworking channel anyway. I mean, it's BPS Woodworks. I started it really to put woodworking videos on there and help promote my business. So it just means I'll be focusing more on that stuff now and less on the build. You know, I thought I would do a series on the build because part of the build is the woodshop, so I thought it made sense to, thought it would be fun too, and even if it didn't go anywhere on YouTube, my wife and I and our kids would have those videos for posterity, I guess. So for now, we'll just be focusing more on some woodworking stuff. And like I said, I'm not giving up here by any stretch of the imagination. It just means it's going to take me longer. I'm a little concerned because I'm 53, and I'm not saying that's old by any stretch, but it's not young either, you know. I've got some minor arthritis in my lower back, and my knees get a little weird sometimes, and the reason I'm pointing that out is just to say that, you know, I don't know how much longer I've got where I'll physically be able to build a house myself. So I kind of feel like that clock is ticking in that sense. And, you know, this is going to put us out at least another year probably. We bought the land from my brother last year and thought we'd build this year. And then it turned into, well, okay, you know, we're going to get some site work done this year and build next year. And now looking at the way things have gone with the bank, I'm not even 100% sure I'll be able to build next year. But I'm still hopeful. If I can get rid of some debt between now and then, I'm going to try to take on some more work, although I don't know how that's going to happen. I'm already overextended and behind schedule. So I guess we'll see.